December 17th, 1944, 04:30 hours. The snow-covered hills outside Bastogne, Belgium. Private First Class Desmond Hayes crouches in a shallow foxhole, his breath fogging the freezing air. He's alone, completely alone, surrounded by 18 German soldiers from the 5th Panzer Army. They're closing in, boots crunching through the knee-deep snow, rifles raised. Hayes has no radio, no backup, just his M1 Garand and 6 rounds left. The Ardennes forest is dead silent except for their whispers in guttural German. In the next 2 minutes, he'll face odds that no one walks away from. 1 man against 18. But Hayes doesn't panic. He waits. The war hadn't always been this raw for Desmond Hayes. He was 23 when it started for him back in June of 1942. Born in a dusty farm town outside Tulsa, Oklahoma, Hayes grew up fixing tractors and hunting deer with his father. Tall, wiry build from years of baling hay, quiet type, the kind who fixed problems without much talk. When Pearl Harbor hit, he didn't rush to enlist like some boys. Waited a year, finished high school. Then one morning, after reading about buddies shipping out, he walked into the recruiter's office. "Sign me up," he said. Simple as that. Basic training at Camp Roberts, California. Hot days marching through scrubland. Hayes took to the rifle quick. Instructors noticed. He could hit a target at 300 yards on the first shot, steady as a rock. They made him a sharpshooter, but Hayes didn't brag, just nodded and kept cleaning his gear. By late 1943, he was overseas. First stop, North Africa, with the 101st Airborne, Operation Torch, landed near Casablanca under cover of night. The air smelled of salt and diesel. Germans and Italians were dug in along the coast. Hayes's unit pushed inland, fighting house to house in places like Kasserine Pass. That was his first taste of real fire. February 1943. Hayes's platoon got pinned down by a German machine gun nest, 80 yards away, spitting lead. 2 men went down before they hit the dirt. Hayes didn't freeze. He spotted a gap in the rocks, low-crawled forward while bullets kicked up sand around him. Heart pounding but hands steady. Flanked the nest alone. 1 shot from his Garand dropped the gunner. The loader turned, eyes wide. Hayes fired again, clean. His sergeant clapped him on the back later. "You just saved our asses, kid." Hayes shrugged. Had to. From Africa, it was Sicily. July 1943. The 101st dropped in with the invasion. Beaches crawling with Axis troops. Hayes parachuted in at dusk, landing hard in an olive grove. His chute tangled in branches, rifle twisted. Germans were everywhere, probing the lines. He cut himself free, linked up with a scattered squad. They held a ridge overnight. Mortars rained down, shaking the ground. Hayes covered the rear, picking off snipers in the dark. By dawn, his squad had lost half its men. Hayes pulled a wounded corporal to safety, dragging him 200 yards under fire. The corporal lived. Hayes got a Bronze Star for that. Didn't mean much to him. Just did what needed doing. Italy came next. Salerno landings, September 1943. The 101st fought up the boot through mud and mountains. Monte Cassino was hell. Winter rains turned trails to rivers. Hayes's company assaulted a hill held by elite Fallschirmjäger paratroopers. Germans had the high ground. Machine guns zeroed in. The attack stalled. Officers yelling orders. Hayes saw an opening, a blind spot in their line. He volunteered to scout it, slipped forward alone, belly down in the muck, spotted their ammo dump, marked it for artillery. That call brought down a barrage, wiped out the nest, 50 Germans dead or running. His unit pushed through. Hayes came back with shrapnel in his shoulder. Field medics patched him up. He was back in the line 2 days later. By D-Day, June 6, 1944, Hayes was a veteran. The 101st dropped into Normandy, behind Utah Beach. Chaos from the start. Anti-aircraft fire shredded the sky. Hayes's plane took a hit mid-jump. He landed miles off course in a flooded field. Germans patrolling nearby. He hid in a hedgerow, M1 ready, waited out the night, listening to patrols pass within feet. Dawn broke. He linked up with stragglers, 4 guys, no officers. They fought their way to Carentan, street fighting house to house. Hayes covered a crossing under sniper fire, took out 2 from a steeple 400 yards away. 1 bullet grazed his helmet. He didn't flinch. Normandy dragged on. The screaming eagles pushed through bocage country, thick hedges perfect for ambushes. Hayes's platoon got cut off during a counterattack near St. Lo, surrounded by a company of SS troops, outnumbered 10 to 1. Night fell, Germans probing with flares. Hayes suggested a breakout, crawl through a drainage ditch. They moved slow, water up to their necks. A patrol spotted them. Gunfire erupted. Hayes returned fire, dropping 3. The platoon made it out. 8 men started. 4 walked away. Hayes carried the radio on his back the whole way, never dropped it. That fall, the 101st moved to Holland. Operation Market Garden, bridge at Eindhoven. Hayes's unit dropped in to secure it. Germans fought hard, panzers rolling up. Hayes manned a .30 caliber on a jeep holding a crossroads. Shells exploding close. 1 hit nearby, flipped the vehicle. He crawled out, ears ringing, and kept firing. Took out a half-track at 200 yards. Bridge held, but the operation failed higher up. Hayes's company retreated under artillery. He helped evacuate wounded across the Rhine. Saw friends he'd known since training go down. Buried them quick, in the mud. Back in France, by December, the bulge hit like a storm. German offensive through the Ardennes. 0 weather, snow blinding. The 101st got trucked to Bastogne. Surrounded city, no supplies coming in. Hayes dug in on the perimeter. Fought off probes daily. Frostbite setting in. Rations down to 1 meal a day. Then, that night, December 17th, his patrol went out to scout. Ambush. Germans everywhere. Hayes got separated, ran into the woods, found this foxhole, an old one from maneuvers. Settled in, heard them coming. 18 shadows in the snow, closing the noose. Hayes grips his Garand, finger off the trigger, counts them again. 18, they're fanning out, bayonets fixed. 1 shouts an order. They advance slow, expecting surrender. Hayes's mind races, but his body stays still. He's faced worse odds in spirit, if not in number. The wind picks up, carrying their voices. He picks his first target, the leader 50 yards out. Breath steady, waits for the right moment. The snow swirls, they get closer, 30 yards. Hayes exhales slow. This is it. The Germans move like ghosts through the snow. Hayes watches from his foxhole, eyes narrowed against the wind. He's sunk low, the frozen dirt pressing into his back. The M1 rests across his chest, barrel cold in his gloved hands, 6 rounds, that's all. He runs the math again in his head. 18 men. If he misses 1 shot, it's over. But missing isn't in him, not tonight. The leader halts 20 yards out. A sergeant by the stripes on his sleeve. He raises a hand, signaling the others to spread wider. Their boots sink deep, making soft crunches that echo in the quiet. 1 soldier stumbles, curses under his breath. Hayes marks him, clumsy, off balance. Not the first target. The leader barks something low. They creep forward 10 yards now. Rifles sweep the shadows. Hayes feels the weight of their eyes, even if they haven't spotted him yet. His heart beats steady, like a drum in the silence. He's done this before. Waited in the dark. Let them come to him. Flashback to Sicily again, that ridge under mortar fire. Hayes had held his position alone after the squad scattered, Germans closing from 3 sides. He'd picked the point man first, a shadow in the olive trees. 1 shot. The rest froze, then scattered. That night taught him patience. Fire too soon and you give yourself away. Wait, and they hand you the advantage. Here, in the Ardennes, it's the same game, colder, deadlier, but the rules don't change. The wind dies for a second. Hayes hears their breathing, ragged in the freeze. A flashlight beam cuts the dark, sweeping left to right. It grazes the edge of his hole. He presses flatter, snow dusting his helmet. The beam passes. The leader whispers again, urgency in his voice. They're close enough now that Hayes smells the tobacco on them. 15 yards. The clumsy one lags, adjusting his pack. Hayes shifts his aim, leader first, then the two on the flanks, back in Normandy after D-Day, that hedgerow hideout. Hayes had waited out a patrol just like this. 5 Germans probing the flood. He'd let them pass within arm's reach, heart slamming, but finger steady. When they turned their backs, he struck. 2 down before the alarm, the rest ran. Survival came down to that wait, the moment you choose. Hayes knows it deep. This foxhole is his hedgerow. These 18 are his patrol. But 18, the number presses on him. No room for error. One soldier stops, kneels to check tracks in the snow. He's 10 yards away, profile sharp against the faint moonlight. Hayes's finger brushes the trigger. Not yet. The man stands, points toward the trees. The group tightens, rifles up. They're expecting something. Maybe an outpost, maybe stragglers. Not one man holding the line. Hayes exhales slow, fogging his sight. His mind flashes to Kasserine, that machine gun nest. He'd crawled under fire, sand in his mouth, waited for the gunner to reload. One breath. One shot, now it's breaths in the snow. The leader edges forward, pistol drawn. 8 yards. Hayes remembers Holland, the jeep fan after the shell hit, ears ringing, world tilting, Germans advancing on the crossroads. He'd waited behind the wreck, 30 cal jammed, but his Garand ready. Let the first 3 pass, then fired from the flank, dropped the driver of that half-track clean. The rest pulled back, confused. Waiting turned the tide. Always did. Here the snow helps him, blends him in. The Germans fan out more, covering ground. One circles left toward his blind side. Hayes tracks him without turning. 5 yards to the leader now. The cold bites deeper. Hayes's toes are numb, fingers stiff on the stock, but he doesn't shift. In Italy, at Monte Cassino, that scout run. Muck sucking at his boots, shrapnel whistling. He'd waited in the blind spot marking the dump, let the patrol pass overhead, then the signal, boom, 50 gone. That wait saved his company, cost him the shoulder scar that aches now in the frost. The leader halts again. He shines his own light low to the ground. It hits the foxhole rim. Hayes freezes. The beam lingers. Seconds stretch. The leader mutters, steps closer. 3 yards. Hayes can see his face, hard lines, stubble dark, eyes scanning. In the bulge build-up, Bastogne perimeter. Daily probes like this. Hayes had held a listening post alone one night. Germans sent a squad to test the line. He'd waited in the ditch, let them crest the rise, fired at point blank when they bunched, 3 down. The rest fled into the wire. His CO noted it later. Cool head, Hayes. No medals then. Just survival. Now the leader leans in, peering down. Hayes's pulse quickens, but he holds. The man straightens, calls soft to the others. They're all around the hole now, encircling. Rifles trained outward, assuming it's empty. Hayes picks the moment. The leader turns to signal. Hayes rises just enough, sights the back of his head. Breath out, squeeze. The Garand cracks, sharp like thunder in the snow. The leader drops, snow puffing up. The others spin, shouts erupting. Bullets whip past as they fire blind. Hayes ducks, earth spraying. 5 rounds left. He pops up, tags the left flanker. Chest hit, he crumples. Return fire rakes the hole. Chips of frozen dirt sting his cheek. He rolls right, fires again. The clumsy one goes down, clutching his leg, screaming. Chaos breaks. Germans dive for cover, but the snow slows them. Hayes counts, 16 now, scattering behind trees. 1 charges, bayonet gleaming. Hayes shoots from the hip, misses the body, clips the arm. The man falls back, firing wild. Hayes's ears ring from the blasts. He scans. Leader's body twitches. Flanker still. The circle tightens again, angrier. Voices yell orders. They're closing, using the dead for bait. Hayes reloads a stripper clip fast, hands numb but sure. 4 rounds. The wind howls back, carrying their fear. He waits again, deeper in the hole. Let them bunch. Flash to St. Lo, that SS surround. Drainage ditch escape. Hayes had covered the rear, picking shots in the water. Waited for them to silhouette against flares. Dropped 3, bought time. 4, made it. Tonight it's just him. No ditch, no squad. The Germans probe, 1 tossing a grenade. It arcs, lands short. Boom shakes the ground, snow blasting up. Hayes coughs, eyes watering. They're learning, coordinating. A burst from a submachine gun peppers his edge. He fires blind, hears a yelp. 15 left. Tension coils tighter, they're not running. Pushing now. Hayes spots the next play. 2 creeping from the right low. He shifts aim. The cold seeps in, but adrenaline burns it out. This is the grind. The weight within the weight. Bullets zip closer. He breathes. Fires. 1 down. They return double. The foxhole walls crumble. 3 rounds. The noose pulls in. The Germans press harder now. Shadows merging with the storm. Hayes hunkers down, the foxhole shrinking under their fire. Bullets thud into the snow walls, sending icy chunks raining on him. 3 rounds left. He wipes frost from his bolt, eyes darting. The right flank. 2 more crawling forward, using the fallen as cover. 1 raises his MP40, spraying short bursts. Hayes times it, waits for the pause to reload. Fires low. Hits the shooter in the shoulder. The man rolls back, weapon clattering. His partner freezes, then bolts for a tree. Hayes tracks him. 2nd shot. Clean through the thigh. Down he goes, dragging a red trail in the white. 14 left. Shouts rise, frantic German mixing with the wind. They're regrouping, voices sharp with orders. Hayes hears the click of a flare pistol. It whooshes up. Bursts high, red light bathes the woods, turning snow to blood. No more hiding. He squints against the glare, spots 3 advancing straight on, rifles leveled. They fan out, 10 yards apart. Hayes picks the center one, tall, steady stride. Breath out, crack. The Garand bucks, center man jerks, drops face first. The others dive, firing from prone. Bullets whip overhead, 1 grazing Hayes's sleeve. Tearing cloth but not skin. He shifts left, dirt crumbling under him. Flash to Monte Cassino, that hill assault. Hayes pinned with his squad, Fallschirmjäger raining fire from above. Flare lit the night, same red glow. He'd waited in the muck, let the first wave crest. Picked the grenadier, his burst would have wiped them. 1 shot. The rest halted, confused. Hayes's unit surged then, taking the ground. That pause under the light saved 8 lives. Here, the flare fades slow, shadows lengthening. The 2 survivors crawl closer, whispering plans. Hayes's mind sharpens. No squad behind him. Just the hole and the cold. A grenade sails in this time, perfect arc. Hayes sees it spin, hears the spoon ping free. He kicks snow over it, rolls right. Boom. The blast rocks him. Ears popping, shrapnel peppering his pack. Heat flashes, then snow buries the crater. He coughs, tasting cordite. The edge of the hole collapses, half filling with debris. 2 rounds. He pops up, fires into the smoke. Hears a gurgle. Got 1 blind. 13. The survivors yell, anger turning to caution. They circle wider, using trees for cover. Boots crunch deliberate now, probing edges. Hayes reloads the last clip, fingers fumbling in the chill but locking it home. He scans the perimeter, figures darting, low and fast. The wind howls again, whipping flakes into his eyes. He blinks it clear, spots a pair flanking left 15 yards out. 1 signals the other, bayonets up for close work. Hayes remembers Sicily, that olive grove drop. Parachute tangled. Germans closing on his position. He cut free quiet, waited in the branches, let the patrol bunch below, scouting the crash. Fired down, point blank. 2 dropped before they scattered. Patience in the trap. He lines the sights now, leads the lead man. Crack. Headshot. The follower stumbles over him, fires wild into the air. 12. Return fire rakes the foxhole, splintering wood from his stock. Hayes ducks, feels the vibration in his teeth. The psychological grind sets in. Each shot echoes his own breaths, ragged now. They're not just soldiers anymore. They're the noose, tightening breath by breath. He flashes to Normandy, the hedgerow night. Alone after the jump, Germans patrolling inches away. He'd held still, muscles screaming, mind locked on the rhythm of their steps. One wrong twitch, and it ends. Waited till they passed, then struck from behind. That control kept him alive through the hedgerows, the bocage ambushes. Here, the snow is his hedge, the foxhole his branch. Another flare pops. This one closer, hangs like a bloody moon. Hayes sees them all now, the remaining 12 spread in a ragged semicircle. Officers among them by the gestures. One points straight at his position, urges a rush. 4 break cover, charging low, rifles barking. Hayes fires twice, drops the first, wings the second. The third reaches the rim, thrusts his bayonet down. Hayes rolls, feels the blade scrape his boot. He swings the Garand butt, connects with knee, crack of bone. The man howls, topples in. Hayes finishes him close, muzzle flash lights the face. He's wide in shock, 1 round left, the rush falters. The other 2 pull back, dragging the wounded. Bullets still zip, but scattered. Hayes ejects the clip, slams in his last. The German inside thrashes, grabs at his leg. Hayes kicks free, drives the bayonet into the snow for leverage, pushes him out. 8 left on the flanks, holding fire, assessing. The leader's replacement, a lieutenant. Coat marked. Shouts retreat, no. Advance. They creep in again, coordinated. Submachine guns chatter, pinning him. Hayes hunkers, world narrowing to the rim. His shoulder aches from the old scar, cold, amplifying it. Mind races. Flash to Holland, the crossroads hold. Shell flipped the jeep, Germans closing. He'd waited prone, let the half-track rumble past, fired into the treads. It slewed, blocked their path. Waiting, flipped the fight. Snow deepens, muffling sounds. Hayes hears them closer, boots soft now, deliberate. 5 yards to the left edge, he peeks, spots a shadow, fires the penultimate round, hits center mass. The man folds, rifle discharging into the ground. 7. The last round burns in the chamber. They know he's low. Voices rise. Surrender calls? No, just rage. A potato masher arcs in, handle fuse hissing. Hayes bats it back weak from the hole. It explodes midair 5 yards out. Shrapnel peppers him. Hot stings on arm, neck. He grunts, blood warm against the freeze. 6 left, closing fast. No more waiting. The noose is threads now, pulling taut. Hayes rises halfway, Garand raised. Last round chambered. He picks the lieutenant, barking orders, pistol out. Breath steady. The snow swirls fierce. They lunge. The snow blinds them as they charge, a wall of grey uniforms against white. Hayes squeezes the trigger. The Garand roars, last round slamming into the lieutenant's chest. He staggers, pistol firing high into the trees, then crumples forward, face planting in the drift. 5 left. They halt for a split second, shock rippling through the group. Hayes ejects the empty clip, the metallic clink lost in their shouts. No time to reload. He swings the rifle like a club, butt smashing into the nearest one's jaw as he vaults the rim. Bone crunches. The German reels back, blood spraying from his mouth. Hayes grabs the fallen pistol from the lieutenant's belt, Luger, cold and heavy. He fires point blank into the next shadow, lunging from the right. The shot bucks in his hand, hits the man's shoulder. He spins away, dropping his rifle. 4. The air fills with cordite and screams, the foxhole a churned pit now, walls half gone from blasts. Hayes drops low again, heart hammering but eyes clear. He scans the chaos, 3 circling right, 1 pulling back left, dragging his buddy. Bullets still whine but wilder now. They've lost their edge. Fear creeps in their voices. He remembers Kasserine, that first real scrape, pinned in the sand, machine gun chattering. No pistol then, just the Garand empty after the flank. He'd picked up a dead man's Thompson, sprayed the nest to cover his crawlback. Submachine fire, close, messy, saved the platoon. Here the Luger feels foreign, but it works. Hayes pops up, fires twice. 1 clips a tree trunk, bark exploding. The second nails the dragger in the leg. He collapses cursing, his buddy abandoning him to dive for cover. 3 closing fast, bayonets low. The wind shrieks, whipping snow into a frenzy. Hayes backs against the far wall, boots slipping in the slush. The first one reaches him, young, eyes wild under his helmet. He thrusts forward. Hayes sidesteps, grabs the rifle barrel, yanks hard. The German stumbles in, off balance. Hayes drives the Luger into his temple. Crack! He goes limp, slumping over the edge. 2. The others hesitate, rifles raised but not firing. Too close for their own men. Hayes uses it. He shoves the body aside, rolls out into the open snow, Luger sweeping. Flash to Sicily, the ridgehold. Mortars falling like rain. Squad gone. Hayes alone, picking off the probes in the dark. No bayonets then, just shadows in the olives. He'd let one get close, wrestled him silent to avoid the alarm. Throat crushed under elbow. Quiet kill, survival in the grapple. Now, the second man charges, roaring. Hayes meets him halfway, dodging the bayonet swipe. He fires the Luger empty, clicks dry after 2 shots, one grazing the German's arm. The man swings wild. Hayes ducks, tackles low, drives him into the snow. They roll, fists and elbows flying. Hayes's knee pins the rifle arm. He headbutts hard, helmet to nose. Blood flows hot. The German gasps, goes slack, one left. Hayes pushes up, breath ragged, tasting copper from a split lip. The last soldier stands 10 yards out, submachine gun leveled but hands shaking. Flare light fades, leaving him a silhouette. He fires a burst. Bullets kick snow at Hayes's feet. Hayes dives behind the body pile, grabs the dead man's Kar 98K, bolts it quick, familiar weight. He's down to instinct now, the cold forgotten in the burn. The German advances slow, reloading, eyes darting to his fallen comrades. Hayes sights over the rifle, steady despite the shake in his arms. Waits for the pause. The man stops, magazine half in. Hayes fires, the bolt snaps forward, hits center. The German folds, gun dropping unused. Silence crashes in, broken only by the wind and distant artillery rumble. Hayes lowers the rifle, chest heaving. He counts the shapes in the snow. 18, all still. Blood stains bloom dark against white. His hands tremble now, adrenaline crashing. He sinks back into the foxhole remnants, ears ringing from the close shots. The Luger lies empty nearby, Garand splintered but whole. No rounds left. He checks himself, cuts on arm and neck from shrapnel, boot gashed but no deep wounds. Alive. Somehow. He flashes to Normandy after Carrington. Street cleared, bodies everywhere. Hayes had stood alone in the rubble, squad linking up late. That quiet after, the weight of it. You'd think relief would come, but it didn't. Just the count, how many down, what it cost. Here it's the same. 1 man, 18 gone. The woods feel bigger now, empty. Hayes pulls a cigarette from his pack, lights it with shaking fingers. The flame flickers, smoke curling up. He drags deep, eyes on the bodies. No victory cheer, just the fact. Dawn edges in. Grey light filtering through the trees. Hayes gathers what he can. Ammo from the dead, stripping clips fast. His Garand takes 3 rounds from a fallen MP40 pouch. Better than nothing. He shoulders the extra rifle, slings packs. The cold returns, biting harder. Footsteps crunch distant. More Germans or his own lines? He hunkers, listens. Voices, English now. Faint calls. Hayes? Anyone. He stands slow, hands up but rifle ready. Shadows move from the east. 101st Boys patrols out. They spot the scene. Freeze. One whistles low. Jesus! What the hell happened here? Hayes nods toward the bodies. Patrol. Got separated. No more words. They radio it in. Medics coming quick. Hayes sits on a log, lets them patch the cuts. Morphine dulls the ache. His CO arrives by noon. Stares at the field. 18? Alone? Hayes shrugs, waited for the moment. Word spreads fast in Bastogne. Brass wants details. Hayes recounts it flat, no embellish. By evening they're pulling him back to HQ. Purple Heart for the wounds, Silver Star pending. But the looks from the men, that's the real weight. They slap his back, call him Ghost. Hayes just cleans his gear, stares at the snow. The fight's done. But the Ardennes rages on. Germans still surround the town, shells falling steady. That night, in a warm tent, Hayes lies awake. The scar on his shoulder throbs. He thinks of Tulsa, the farm quiet under sun. War's not like that. It's waits in the cold, choices in the dark, one moment tipping 18 lives. Courage, maybe. But mostly, it's the grind. The decision to hold when everything says, run. Bastogne holds too because of nights like this. Hayes closes his eyes. Sleep comes hard, but it comes. The days after that night blurred into the grind of the bulge. Bastogne stayed locked tight, Germans pounding the edges with artillery that shook the ground like thunder. Hayes went back to the line, his cuts bandaged under fresh tape. The Silver Star came through quick, pinned on by division command in a muddy foxhole briefing. No ceremony, just the brass nodding for holding the perimeter alone. Hayes stood straight, saluted, didn't smile. The men around him whispered later, eyes on him different now, not hero worship, respect, hard-earned. Word of the foxhole fight rippled out. Scouts found the bodies first, spread like broken dolls in the snow. 18 confirmed, from the 5th Panzer's reconnaissance unit. Intel officers pieced it. They'd been hunting stragglers, probing for weak spots in the 101st's ring. Hayes's stand plugged that gap. No breakthrough there. The town held another week on guts and rations scraped from airdrops. C-47s buzzed low, chutes blooming white against the grey sky. Hayes watched one run from his new post, a ridge overlooking the same woods. Pilots risked flak to feed them. He caught a K-ration pack mid-drop, shared it with his squad. "Eat slow," he said. "Lasts longer." Patton's Third Army punched through on December 26th, tanks rumbling east, breaking the siege. Hayes's unit linked up at the rail yards, shaking hands with the armored boys. Exhaust fumes mixed with cordite. A tank commander clapped Hayes on the shoulder. "Heard about you, one-man foxhole, hell of a story." Hayes nodded. "Just the job. No details, he didn't retell it. The fight stayed in his head, replaying in quiet moments. The crack of the Garand, the last charge in the swirl. Nights brought the faces back, German eyes wide in the flare light. Sleep came in fits, broken by shell bursts, back stateside by spring 1945. The war in Europe wound down, V-Day hitting like a sigh. Hayes shipped home on a Liberty from Le Havre, ocean flat under a warm sun. He stood at the rail, watching France fade. No fanfare at the dock in New York, just crowds waving, horns blaring. His family waited in Tulsa, mother hugging tight, father gripping his hand. "Proud of you, son." Hayes hugged back, felt the farm air clean in his lungs, dust from the fields, not snow and blood. He settled in quiet, took a job at the local garage, fixed engines, same steady hands from the war. The medals gathered dust in a drawer. Bronze Star from Sicily, Purple Heart from the shrapnel, Silver Star for Bastogne. Reporters sniffed around once, a local paper wanting the tale. Hayes gave a short interview, facts only. Surrounded, waited, fought out. No drama. The story faded, tucked into history books later as part of the 101st stand. But in veteran circles it stuck. Reunions in the 50s, old Screaming Eagles swapping yarns over beer. Hayes showed up steady, listened more than talked. One night, around a fire in the Oklahoma hills, a buddy from Normandy raised a glass to the foxhole ghost, turned 18 into 0. Laughter rippled. Hayes clinked, stared into the flames. Luck and timing. Years rolled on. Hayes married in 47, a quiet woman from town who ran the diner. Built a life, 2 kids, a house on the edge of the farm, taught them to shoot, careful with the .22. "Steady aim," he'd say, "wait for the shot." The war stayed buried deep, surfacing in dreams or when news hit of Korea, then Vietnam. He'd clip articles, shake his head. Same mess. By the 70s, age crept in, shoulder scar aching in the rain, toes numb from that Ardennes frost. He retired from the garage, spent days on the porch watching sunsets over the plains. The end came peaceful. 1982. Heart gave out one morning. Sitting with his coffee, 71 years old, funeral, small family and a few vets. They buried him with full honors at the local cemetery, flag folded crisp, rifles cracking in salute. The preacher spoke short, a man who faced the dark and held. No one mentioned the 18, didn't need to. His kids knew the stories, passed them down clean. That foxhole in the snow reveals the raw edge of war, not glory or grand charges. Just one guy, cornered, deciding to wait when panic screams run. Courage isn't loud. It's the breath held steady, the finger on the trigger. In the chaos of battle, moments like Hayes's tip the scale. One life against the tide, and sometimes the tide breaks. War chews men up, spits out legends quiet as the dawn after the storm. Hayes waited. The world turned because of it.